Hi Best Buds, it's Cathy with Cathy's Garden, and I'm so happy that you've joined me today. Today we're going to be making these beautiful vintage style flowers for our junk journal ephemera. But first, let's have our shout out to Claire, Leanne, Junk Journal Diva, and Pat. I appreciate each and every one of you. Oh my goodness, you guys, aren't they sweet? This one right here is made out of the same fabric. Each petal is the exact same fabric. So you can do it that way, or maybe you want to change it up and have each petal be a different fabric. So I've still kept them to be similar. So the first one, the base, is one. The second one is a different one. The third one is the same as the base. And then the top one is the same as the second from the bottom. And then there's a little piece of coffee dyed lace. You can make them all different colors if you'd like. So let me show you how I've done this. So you'll want to grab your fabric. Oh my goodness, you guys, we all have fabric, lots of different fabric. And let's just go ahead and let's grab a piece. Let's see, which one do we want? Let's grab this one right here. All right, so we're going to get our fabric. And I cut two different sizes. I did not cut 4 different size pieces. I just cut 2 sizes. I found it easier for me to do it that way. I found a dish that was approximately 3 1/4 inches across. And this is what I used for my largest circle. And I just placed it on the back side of my fabric, and I simply traced it around with a pin. There we go, just like that. And then I found something that was 2 1/4 inches across. It happened to be my art glitter refill jug. And I just did the exact same thing with this and just went around in a circle. So I just did this for different fabrics, having them look like this. This is my large circle. These are my large circles, and these are my smaller circles. And as you can see, I simply just cut them out. Like this. And then I separated them. I got my large pinking shears. These are Fiskars. And I just cut the circle out. Just like that on both of them. And I just did a whole bunch of them at once. As you can see, I have lots and lots of these, right? All right, so I'll cut that one out later. The next thing I did was I looked at what can I put together? What would go nicely? So I've got one here that is polka dot. And then I did the one we just cut out, this one, and then I did another color, and then I repeated the second one. So I decided to do one like this. And then I did one with the green, and then the teal, and then the green, and then the teal. So however you want to group your circles together is up to you. Maybe you're making a spring journal. Maybe you're making a Valentine's Day journal or a bee journal. Then you'd want to consider those colors while you're putting your circles together. So let me find, here we are. Let me pull this in here. I have got this one, and then I've got this cute little daisy one, and then I've got this one and another daisy one. I'm going to set this aside real quick. I'm going to bring in my coffee slurry. Now you could leave them this way, and you could not have them coffee dyed. If you wanted that bright, perky color, then by all means you would not have to coffee dye them. I, on the other hand, tend to make things that are a little more vintage looking, so I chose to coffee dye mine. Now you can see how much this has changed the color. It's really changed it a lot, right? Because this is similar to this one. And I have another one here. This one is similar to this one, right? So let me show you how I got to this stage right here. So I like to put my circle, the fabric that has the heavier feel, on the bottom. And then my next choice, as you can see, I have picked the same size circle. Well, I need to cut the second circle down just a little bit. And I just fold it in fourths like this, and then bring in my pinking shears and just trim off about a fourth of that circle. Just like that. You can see how much I've cut off. All right, so then I open it up and I see if I like the way that looks. And I do. That shows enough of the darker pink, and it shows enough of the pretty lighter pink print. Now I have this darker pink once again, so I need it to be smaller than this one. This is what I mean by maybe you would like to cut out 4 different sizes as opposed to doing it the way I'm doing it. Now I'm going to cut off a little more. Not a lot more, but a little more, because I want it to show a little bit more of the second fabric. So here is this one here, and then I think this one was this one. So you can see I cut it just a little bit more. Let's look at this one. This is the smaller circle, and it still needs to be just a little smaller. So I'm simply going to fold it in fourths, just like this. And I don't need to cut a lot, but I do want to cut off enough so that you can see the pink underneath. So there we have that. Now let's go ahead and let's do this one too, because I have 2 examples I showed you just a few minutes ago that I brought in and showed you how they looked after we coffee dyed them. Let's fold this in fourths and simply take your pinking shears and cut about 1/4 of an inch off, about, and then lay it there. Very nice. Then we want to repeat. I'm going to repeat with a darker color. It's not the exact same print as the first one, but it's still in that family of color. So I'm just going to cut a little bit off because it's a smaller circle. It's not a big circle. Okay, we've got that. Now this is a small circle, but I need it to be smaller than this one. So I'm simply going to trim it just a little bit. There we are. Oh, I need to trim it just a little bit more than that. I want more showing than that. Just a little bit more. And there we go, just like that. Now the next thing that I want to do is I'm going to bring in some thread. I have some needles already threaded, and I'm going to use my white thread right here. And I have a knot. Do I have a knot at the end? I sure do. I have a knot at the end. So I'm going to pick up my stack of circles, and I'm going to just look and see, oh, that's about the center. I'm going to put my needle through approximate center, and I'm just going to take a very small stitch right here in the center, and then I'm going to take a stitch opposite. So I'm actually making a little crisscross. All right, and then I'm going to tie this off. So just putting my needle back through my thread and just making a little knot. Now I'm actually going to do this twice to really knot it up, just like that. And then I'm going to take some smaller scissors and I'm going to trim that off. Alrighty, so now I need to do the exact same thing. My fingers are kind of stained from doing coffee dyeing, even though I've watched them. Okay, so we're going to take a little stitch. We're going to take a crisscross stitch here. Okay, and then we're going to tie it off. Very simple. Even if you don't sew, this is like easier than sewing on a button, right guys? So very simple. Now we're just going to trim our thread off and our needle. Place our needle over here so we don't lose it. Now we have our two flowers all stitched together. So I'm going to take this one and I am just simply going to rub it. And I'm just going to rub it really firmly. See, I'm getting pieces coming off because I want to just kind of scritch it up a little bit. I want to scritch the ends up. I want it to look tattered, maybe is the word I want to use. Now, you can leave it this way. You don't have to coffee dye it. Coffee dyeing is going to look like this. Uncoffee dyeing is obviously going to look like this. All right, so let's just set that aside. So we're going to take this and we're just going to rub it up and just get it all tattered looking, like it's been around for a long time, right? Now, this is the one uncoffee dyed, and this is the one coffee dyed. If you wish to coffee dye it, you just take your coffee dye slurry and you stick it in, you run it around, then you just squeeze off the excess, and then you allow it to dry. And you would end up with something like this, or something like this. All right. So now let's set our coffee slurry over here. I'm going to place it over here on the floor. And let's get back to doing the combining everything. Now, if you have chosen not to coffee dye your flowers, then you'd want to use just your flat white lace uncoffee dyed. But if you want to do the vintage style and coffee dye it, then you would want to coffee dye your flat lace, your white flat lace. You would want to coffee dye it. And then there's coffee dyed and there's uncoffee dyed. Okay? So now what you'll want to do is you'll want to fold it, and what is that? That's about an inch. I'm going to grab my pinking shears again. I'm going to cut it, and I'm actually going to cut the edge that's folded, and then I'm just going to make a circle. Just kind of very poorly, obviously. I made a very poor circle right there. I will fix that little point. I don't want that point there. There we go. Now I'm going to do the exact same thing to the one that's not coffee dyed. I'm just going to fold it, and I'm going to trim it, and then I'm going to just make a circle. Just very crude circle. I'm not, using a template or anything like that. I'm just going around in a circle. All right, so I have two of those, and I have two of these. I'm going to get rid of all these little pieces right here. The next thing I want to do is I'm going to bring in my buttons right here. And I need to decide what looks good on these little flowers that we're making. So let's take the coffee dyed lace and let's place it on our coffee dyed flowers. And let's take the non-coffee dyed flowers and let's put these laces right on the top of those. So let's see here. I think this is super pretty. Ooh, I like that a lot. And then maybe this clear light pink one's good on this one. And the teal one, oh, that looks very sweet on there. This one right here, I might even go with the yellow. Yeah, I do like that yellow on there. So I'm going to grab my thread and needle once again, and it has just come off because I forgot to knot it, and I just pulled on it, and I pulled the thread right out. But we can get it threaded quickly, and we'll put a knot at the end. I can find the end here. Here we go. There's the end. And let's just make a quick knot. And we're simply going to sew on our flower with our lace circle underneath. That's all there is to it, you guys. Then you just sew your button on, and I'm going to do a crisscross here because I like the way that looks on a 4-hole button. And I'm going to spend just a few moments. I'm going to sew all the buttons on, and then I'm going to show you what they look like. So stay tuned and I'll show you the end results. And here we are, you guys. Whether you've chose to coffee dye your flowers or possibly leave them as they are, they will turn out absolutely gorgeous. I'm looking forward to using these beautiful vintage style flowers in our ephemera for the next year that's here. It's here already, you guys. Welcoming the new year. I hope you've enjoyed this video, and if you have, please give me a thumbs up. I invite you to subscribe to my channel, and I'll see you in my next video. I'll see you there, guys. Bye now.